have been. Thank you. There's a phrase that I have called standing in the fire. And I know when people have stood in the fire. And I know when people haven't. And it takes a great willingness to stand in the fire and to let that fire, whatever you call it, burn away that which is not true. It touches our hearts, and it allows us to be called to a greater level of who we are. So thank you for that. Yeah. And I think that's why we come to a center like this, because it calls us to be more than we thought we could be. It teaches us how to have money, and it teaches us how to have cars, and it teaches us how to have houses, and it teaches us how to stay in relationships longer, or get out of them faster, or have healthier bodies. It teaches us all that outside stuff. But the greater thing that this does is it calls us to rise up. It calls us to be more. It calls us to go deeper, to reach higher, to be a greater us. And that's what I think the value is in this. And so John and I were at the beach, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it be a vacation. Everybody keeps saying, how's your vacation? Really, it's our days off that we don't take. And now what we're noticing is it's our time to see each other. So John and I were at the beach, and it was rainy at the beach, and it was windy at the beach, but it was the beach, so yay. But when I'm at the beach, I tend to think, and I tend to muse, and my synapses just kind of fire randomly, and I come up with some pretty interesting stuff. And what has occurred to me is that I'm turning 60. And it caught me by surprise. It was just a few months ago that someone asked me how old I was, and I said, I'm 58. And John said, no, honey, you're not 58. I said, yes, I am. He said, no, you're not. You were born in 1953. Now do the math. And I went, 63, 73, 83, 93, 203. Oh, my God. So in that, and realizing that really to be at the peak of my career, I probably got maybe 10 or 15 more years to do that. And looking back on where I've come in this life, which is far, and looking forward to where I want to go, which is equally far, what is coming up for me is that the way that looks, what I really want out of my life, is a clarity of consciousness. I don't really want stuff outside. I want to be that person that I have always known myself to be. And I've made great strides, but I'm not done. I am not done in my spiritual evolution. I'm not done in my deep desire to share that with the world. And having come so far, and those of you who've known me for a long time know that I have come quite a ways, I see this as so precious that I want to make sure that everyone at least has a shot at it. What people do with that or don't, I've had in over 30 years of ministry, thousands and thousands and thousands of people have come through my talks and my classes, and evidently now they're listening online. Thank you, Rodney and Devon. A lot of people are listening online. And I've had thousands and thousands and thousands of people avail themselves of my teachings, and some of them take it and run, and some of them don't. And I've been thinking about really what is up with that. What is up with me? What does my growth process look like, and how do I want to get to that state of clarity? That state of clarity of consciousness. Consciousness, one of those buzzwords that we tend to use in New Thought that most people look and go, what? And even I sometimes look at the word consciousness and go, what is that anyway? Since consciousness is not really a noun. I think it's more of a verb. Although then it would have to be consciousnessing. I'm consciousnessing. Ernest Holmes says that consciousness is the sum total of everything we've experienced and believed and availed ourselves of in this life. And that's limited because there's a race consciousness that we are all connected with that is also influencing us and we it. But consciousness is even beyond that. In classes, those of you who are in my first year class, you know that we teach that thought is creative, that we think a thought and we manifest into form. And so we learn how to be mindful of the thoughts that we think. We learn how to think the thoughts that we want to live. Thoughts of prosperity, thoughts of love, thoughts of health, thoughts of happiness, those kinds of thoughts. We make ourselves think it even if we don't want to. We say, I will think this thought, I will think it, I will think it, I will think it. Until we just think it easily. And then sometimes I'll let slip that, well, really thought is not the point of creation. And the class goes, oh, what? But really consciousness precedes thought. Thought is an effect, even though we teach that it's cause. If you want to get into higher levels of metaphysics, thought is an effect and consciousness is cause, but what is consciousness? I'm not exactly sure. What I know is that it includes our beliefs. It includes the way we see the world. It is our doorway with the infinite, with all that Spirit is moving through us. The only way Spirit moves through us is through our consciousness. And that consciousness is kind of like the little cloud around Pigpen in Charlie Brown. It is a mental atmosphere. But the idea that it's Pigpen is really a misnomer because for many people it is a cloud of light. It is a cloud of sparkle. It is a cloud of joy. It goes out before them. They bring it with them and they leave it behind. And you just kind of sit back and go, wow, who was that? Because something touched us. Something sparked us, something lifted us, something called us to be more than we thought we were. Sometimes I say that we are not physical beings, we're energetic beings, which we are, and that we are like tuning forks, and that we come in holding our tuning fork, and we don't even have to strike it, but that if there's another vibration, our tuning fork will begin to vibrate and it will sing. And so people are like that. You may be around someone and just all of a sudden you start to buzz. Whoa, what is this? I feel so good. I feel so complete. I feel like this is so right. And then we try to put a lot of words on it and name it, call it love. I'm so in love. And I go, oh no. There's a vibrational frequency that we resonate with. And in that resonance, something within us wakes up. Call it quickening. And so what I want in my life is for my consciousness to be clear. I want it to be crystal clear. I want this doorway through which Spirit moves into my world and into the world to be clear. And so in my musings on the beach, I'm looking at what is it that stops us from that? What is it that when some people it is so obvious to me that they need these teachings? Their lives are a mess. Some of these people who keep recreating the same problem over and over and over again, that is an effect of consciousness. People who marry the same person over and over and over again, or get into a relationship with the same person over and over and over again, even though they have a different face and a different name and are in a completely different city, that is consciousness. And so I see people who are in obvious pain, self-inflicted, self-created, in prisons of their own making, with a wide open door as they sit there and say there's no way out. And I do so want that ability for them to be able to make the shift to recreate life in a way that lifts them. And I muse. What's up with that? People who leave. I've often told John that the hardest part about this job is the people who leave. that it's hard to watch someone leave. And I have a personal ethic that I don't run after people. Some of you have noticed that. Because I really do believe that we are exactly where we need to be. I believe that we are in our perfect and right place. That we are traveling on our path, and that all is well. And even though I may see that this is so obvious that this can help someone, I cannot run after them and ask them to come back. Because then if they come back, they're coming back for me instead of them. And what good is that? It doesn't work if you do it for me. It only works if you do it for you. So I look at this and look at this ability to shift our consciousness into a greater level of awareness of who we are, of the divine made manifest as us, bringing with it the guarantee of a life of health and prosperity and love and joy and happiness, and watch people walk away. And it occurred to me that this is all about self-worth. You know, and I'm talking to myself because I am not crystal clear yet. Hang on, I'm getting there. And I am way clearer than I started out. But I am not crystal clear yet. So what is it that is going on inside of all of us? And I think that it's about self-worth. It is about how we see ourselves. It's about our unwillingness to heal the wounds of the past. And it's interesting because we are so creative and so powerful that we have a wound from the past and we bring it into our present moment and we color it and we make stories about it and we bring other people into agreement about that. Well, that is why I am the way that I am. That is why my life is the way that it is. That's why I can't do what is in my heart of hearts to do. And other people that we've created and attracted and brought in look at us and they nod and go, well, you're absolutely right. That's why you're screwed up. And then we're off the hook. Because we don't have to be the powerful, creative, spiritual being that we came to the world to be, because we have an unhealed past. And I see it act out in so many different ways. It's fascinating to me how we hide. And that's why, here's Tricia. That's why I was saying to you, thank you for being willing to stand up here naked. Because we cannot hide from our life if we're going to allow ourselves to heal. You know, and sometimes we use science of mind as a way to then justify or hide behind what we've got going on. We say, oh, I'm turning away from the condition. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to bring it up to heal it. I'm just going to pretend like it's not there. Except it's like your house is burning down and you're pretending like it's not there. When we have things that are keeping us from experiencing life in all of its fullness and all of its glory, which is my highest desire for me and for you and for everybody else in the world, when we have things that are keeping us from doing that, it's okay to bring them out. It's okay to take a look at them. I'm working with ministers. Boy, what an eye-opener. February, I got elected to the Ministers' Council, and now, you know, I'm the chair of it. And I guess that gives people an excuse to call me and to share with me what's going on with them. And I'm surprised at how many of us have translated science of mind into don't ever tell anyone in your center that there might be a problem. It is your cross to bear. It is your burden. And you have to fix it, put a happy face on it, and then bring it out to everyone. Or, better yet, never mention it at all. And I said, that's not fair. That's not fair to the people sitting in the room. That's not fair to everyone who calls this center home. And what is going on inside of you, ding, 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 what unhealed experience from the past are you still carrying around now under the guise of ministry that is putting you in a position where you think that you have to handle it all? and not let anybody know. Shh. John Bradshaw said, we're only as sick as our secrets. Isn't that great? We're only as sick as our secrets. And so in that, I'm thinking about this thing, about being willing to bring out the lie that we have bought from our past. Because the truth is that God showed up as me and God showed up as you, and that's all that's going on. The only thing that's going on is that whatever God is all that there is, and since God is all that there is, God must be you. And if you move into quantum physics, take a deep breath, big words. What they said is that in order for a unity to exist, it must exist in its totality at every point, simultaneously, all at once. That means all of God has to exist at the point of you. Otherwise, you don't exist. So if you exist at all, God exists in its totality at the point of you right now. And at the point of everybody else too. And you're not supposed to be able to figure it out. It's not linear. So if that's the truth of us, and if we are not living it, then what lie have we bought? And what are we willing to do to let it go? If we are not living the life of our dreams with more than enough money than we know what to do with bodies that jump up out of bed in the morning, ready to greet the day, filled with passion, filled with happiness, if we're not living that kind of life, what lie have we bought into? And what are we willing to do to heal it? Because every ripple in our consciousness comes from the lie that says we are less than perfect. And that ripple shows up as a ripple in our world. And it's so insidious, but that has kind of a bad meaning to it, because we don't even know it. Because even before the thought is thought, the consciousness is directing the thought. So the consciousness has a ripple. We have a thought that says ripple. We create ripple, and we go, well, of course, ripple. What's the problem here? Are you living the life of your dreams? No, I got a ripple. Hey, I came from my childhood because I had a childhood of ripples, so of course. I've healed a lot. I've healed enough. Do you want to live a life of ripple? No. That's why I come to this center. I want to live a life of prosperity and health and happiness and joy. Then you have to be willing to let go of the ripple. And for me, that means to stand in the fire. That means to allow yourself to be someone who does not have a ripple. I learned a long time that we're not afraid of failure. We're afraid of success. Marianne Williamson said it so beautifully, that it is our magnificence that we shy away from. But you don't get to do that in this center, at least not for any length of time with any amount of support. And if you've created a club here that affirms ripples in each other, I want you to know that that club no longer has meeting rights under this roof. Yeah. That we don't meet here to affirm our ripples, to gossip, to complain, to explain why we can't, why things are the way they are. That's not the place for you. This is not the place for that. You have to go somewhere else and do that. Or you have to stop it and stay. So in my looking at my past, and in my looking at my future, my absolute commitment is to let go of anything that mars the crystalline beauty of clarity of consciousness of God as me. To let it go. And if I have to do a little digging, I'm happy to do some digging. And if I have to get a little muddy, I'm happy to get a little muddy. Whatever it is that is keeping me from being all that I ever dreamed of being has got to go. Because it may be painful to change, but I tell you, it's more painful to stay where you are if you're not happy with where you are. So I just invite you to look at yourself and to see whether or not your life is manifesting God as you. You know, it's like that old song, if you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. So if your consciousness is clear, if you know who you are, then that will manifest in form as your life. And if it isn't, if it's not showing up in every area, then there's something to be healed, something to be let go of. And some of those stories about who we are and how we got to where we are and what has made us who we are today, if we're still holding on to the struggle and the pain of it all, it's got to go. It's got to go. Some of those stories about how someone did us wrong, someone took from us. You know, you can never have anything taken from you that you have not first given away. You have to give it away first, and then your connection to it is gone. And then someone can take it. But you gave it away first. So all of those stories about how someone or something, circumstances, gender, economics, education, whatever it may be, has done this to you, it's all a lie. The only truth is that God is all that there is. And God showed up as you, as a magnificent, powerful, beautiful, precious, glorious being of light and love. The only life that you have to live is a life that is reflective of God. That means more than enough. Count the raindrops, there's more than enough. Count the sunbeams, there's more than enough. Health, balance, wholeness, joy. That's the only life that you're supposed to be living. And if you're not, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Just look and see where the lie is. Realize it for what it is. Toss it out with the trash and replace it with that consciousness that says all of the universe has come together at the point of me, for me, as me. God showed up as me. God showed up as you. And that is clarity of consciousness. And so it is.